thoughts to this solution. After reviewing the evidence, I have come to the conclusion that the murderer must be Mr. Rochester's chauffeur, Neil Werthers. I have come to this conclusion based upon the following. I can't believe you killed your mother. Sonny boy. Following evidence.
Who's going to haunt you for the rest of your life, son?
I don't think it was him.
The gun that was used in the shooting was one that was part of the gun collection here at Mystery Manor. The lock cabinet was not damaged and showed no signs of forced entry, and thus must have been unlocked by the key that was found in the victim, Josephine Werthers. If you recall, Neil knelt over his mother when she was shot, at which time it would have been a perfect time for him to slip the key back into her apron where it was found.
So did Dad.
Furthermore,
He even took the money out of her hand.
shush. Furthermore, neither the gun or the key have visible fingerprints on them. This would lead us to believe that the murderer must have been wearing gloves, which we see that Neil was wearing at the beginning of the night.
So Jeffrey.
If you examine the last letter that was supposedly sent from Rick Rochester, you will see that the signature on the letter matches the signature on the will. This indicates that the letter to be legitimate and viable source. Furthermore, if you examine the letter of last correspondence, you will see that Rick indicates that the murderer was the person who had the most to gain from his death. Excuse me. That's the inheritance of the will. It is true that many people had a lot to gain from the will, the way it was subdivided into many categories. However, the overall clause at the beginning states that if a male heir exists at the time of Rick's death, then he shall receive the entire inheritance. Upon review of the birth certificate of Neil Werthers, I've concluded that Neil Werthers must be Rick Rochester's biological son.
No.
Josephine?
I knew that.
Him.
He told me everything.
After she died?
I came to this conclusion based on a few things. First, you can deduce from looking at his birth certificate that Jeffrey Werthers cannot possibly be Neil's biological father because of the timing of the pregnancy and birth. By looking over the birth certificate and comparing it to the starting date of Jeffrey Werthers at Mystery Manor, found on his letter of intent, you will see that Jeffrey had not been at the manor long enough for him to conceivably be the biological father of Neil. Josephine, being just arrived from another country, would have only been in contact with Rick Rochester and his uncle, Theodore, who was too old to father any children and was also on his deathbed. You can tell that Rick Rochester went to great lengths to protect the secrecy of the affair and his illegitimate son. Upon examining the birth certificate, you will see where the father's name on the birth certificate does not match the typeface of the rest of the document, showing that this document must have been altered, another red flag that Jeffrey is not the father of the child. This leaves us with only one conclusion, and it is that Neil Werthers found out about the biological father and killed out of resentment.
Did you notice that the birth certificate had the 10-month pregnancy?
Yeah.
Strange. He then had to kill again. You killed Rick, and then you got to kill your mother, the only person who also knew the truth, his own mother, to save any inheritance that he might reap. As stated in the will, Neil was entitled to a pension at the very least, and the whole estate at the most. If Neil was found guilty, he would not receive anything. Dun, 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 dun. Riley, do you have some more information to add?
As his lawyer, I was asked to deliver a letter upon his death to his only son. I was a bit confused by this, as until this night I was under the impression that Rick had not fathered any sons, but I will read the letter of explanation aloud to you so that you can hear it before being taken into custody. It reads, "To my son, I assume that if you were reading this, I am long gone. This is not how I had most wanted to lead my life, and for you to find out who your true father is, but it is what your mother and I had thought best at the time. I had always wanted a male heir to pass along my father's name. It was with great sadness that Mystery Manor went under another name for so long. When I was unable to conceive any children with Jessica, my college sweetheart and first wife, I sacrificed my love for her in order to possibly gain a son with someone else. It was not my intention to father children with your mother. It was more of a rebellious state for both your mother and for me at the time. Josephine had just settled into Mystery Manor from another country and knew no one, and I was in the middle of a separation and the death of my uncle. When we found out that Josephine was pregnant, she was already in love with Jeffrey, the man who you've been calling father for all these years. Josephine and I thought it was in everyone's best interest to keep our affair a secret. We did not want to hurt Jeffrey, or the woman I was involved with at the time, Jasmine. I went on to marry Jasmine, as you know, but we too were unable to conceive of any sons. We had our 3 beautiful daughters, Allison, Catherine, and Elizabeth. You can see for obvious reasons why we both, Josephine and I, loved the fact that you got along so well with each of the girls, but did not condone you for having a romantic relationship with any of them. After having the twins, Jasmine lost any drive to have any more children, since they were such hellions. Jasmine then secret underwent surgery and had her tubes tied without my knowledge. It was only upon my stumbling across her medical records recently that I, myself, found out that she had betrayed me and started the process of divorce. Once I found out that I was never going to have another son, I knew that I would have to tell you the truth so that I could finally have my male heir. Again, I did not want to disrupt your life, and your mother begged and pleaded with me not to do so. So I have waited until the last moment possible, that being my death, and have instructed my lawyer to give you this letter upon that occasion. I hope that you will forgive my mistakes in life and take upon your true name. If you will, as the will states, Mystery Manor and everything is left to you. Bearing, you are not the cause of my death. Your true and respectful father, Rick Rochester.
I got chills.
Well, that concludes our investigation. Could I just see a show of hands who guessed it was Neil?
Oh, Neil.
Just 2 people. Awesome.
Wow. My own dad.
Why did you choose Neil?
Yeah, why did you choose Neil?
Because of the birth certificate and the other information. I saw it didn't fit.
Yeah, I
And you?
chose you.
And he knew I was a slut.
You choose me?
Yeah.
Just because I'm the butler?
You had more to do.
The butler always does it.
Why did you suspect it was Neil?
Well, I figured he was the son, although I was wondering if, this kind of gang would have something kinky like that with, him having an affair with his sisters. But then I don't know, I just thought.
Half sisters.
Right, but right.
Well, very good.
It just seems right to me.
So later I'll compile all these with the money and the outfits, and you might receive a certificate on your door. So that concludes our fun, but thanks everybody for coming.
Good job.